Yo, what's up everybody? Eyecee here. Welcome to an impromptu video. Better late than never. We got an early and late game slate here, so I decided to make a video for both. I know it's a little late for the early game, but you still got an hour and 40 minutes and it is live, so hopefully you guys can tune in. I've updated my spreadsheet for the people that use it. We got like 30 people now that are using it, so it's really cool and it's all good to go. I still gotta do the Denver and the other team won Memphis on the fly, but let's just get started. We got Philly versus Cleveland here, a 2-game slate. Philly versus Cleveland is probably the game I like most. Should be a much faster paced game with a lot more of a defined player pool selection, less uncertainty, and I like some of the prices more. Philly makes it really easy to stack a lot of their guys with their price points. And we've seen now that they're at full strength, a lot of these guys should see a little bit of a usage decrease. However, they do really well against the Cavaliers. And my favorite play on the Philly with their big fives in particular would be Joel Embiid. He has the highest ceiling and his matchup is great. He went for 61 DraftKings points the other night, and the only real risk with him is foul troubles. He played 38 minutes and 35 minutes the last 2 games, and I know one of them was an overtime game, so probably closer to 35. But if he's going to be playing over 30 minutes, he's definitely someone that could exceed his value at 9,600. There's no doubt in my mind, so definitely someone to consider always. The other guy I like next up is Josh Richardson at 5,300. His minutes and usage are going up each and every game. And yeah, people were out, but that doesn't mean anything. He's a new member of the team, and he was carving out a defined role for himself. And now, with a couple of games under his belt, 12 to be specific, he has that role, and the usage has been going up. 5,300 is a really great price for him. I'll be playing him a lot. And then Al Horford, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, all of these guys are really in the same boat for me, but I rank Al Horford a little higher because I feel like he will exceed his price more often than Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons do. Both Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons are fairly priced guys. Tobias slightly underpriced at 6,300, but you're going to get the 5-6x game out of him. Nothing too exciting. Of course, this is a 2-game slate, so he's in play. A stat candidate for sure. You can get a lot of people in with Al Horford and Tobias in your lineup. They're pretty safe plays. They'll hit around their average values on most nights. So I'm on the fence with a lot of these guys. Ben Simmons ranked last mainly because of his price at 7,900. There's other guys I'd rather play with more upside, particularly some of the Boston guys. So he's ranked at the bottom here. Trey Burke is one of my favorite value plays on the night at 3,100. He could easily get 10x in limited minutes. He's been playing around 18 to 19 minutes. He's mainly one of the bench guys I'm looking at. All the other bench guys I put in the same boats. They play limited minutes. They're very risky, inconsistent. I don't really know what to think about them. So that's that. But as far as Trey Burke goes, he's been playing a decent amount of minutes. He's someone that was supposed to have a decent role on the team when the season started. And now that it's in full swing and he's back, he's played 2 games and he's done really well, averaging 18.5 minutes. At 3,100, he's probably one of the best value plays on this 2-game slate with the most upside. So those are the guys I like on Philly. Joel Embiid, Josh Richardson, and then Al Horford, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons are pretty much in the same boat for me. And then Trey Burke's my favorite value play. On the Cleveland Cavaliers side, look, it's a tough matchup for the Cavaliers, and Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson have come back down to earth. Kevin Love has been back on earth for a couple of games now. Tristan Thompson put up that ultimate stinker last game. However, with that said, Tristan Thompson did have a great game against the 76ers the last time around, and I expect that to continue at 6K on a 2-game slate. You can't really overlook him. He has to be in consideration for us, so definitely one of my favorite Cavaliers to go to. I will be playing him. And then Kevin Love on a 2-game slate. You have to consider him too, but he's a lot more riskier. He's priced a little too high, in my opinion, for the type of player he really is. He does have the upside. He will go out there and have 50, 60 DraftKings point games from time to time. He will have a streak, 2-3 games. Like he'll do that. But most often, he'll go out there, play a really good quarter of basketball, and then do absolutely nothing for the rest of it. And you won't be happy. But the 2-game slate, if his 3-point shot's falling, if he gets hot early, then yeah, he could go out there and have a good night. But it is risky, and there's other guys I personally would rather play. but definitely he should be in consideration. And then the other two guards, the young guards, Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, both of these guys would be in consideration for me. I would prefer Darius Garland slightly because he's been seeing more of an aggressive offensive role now. It will be needed against the 76ers, but it's just a tough matchup. They're priced fair, but the matchup is tough. How much of them I get to on this 2-game slate, I'm not really sure right now, but they are in consideration for me. Colin Sexton has had 3 decent games, with 2 of them being actually really good back-to-back now. And he did well against the 76ers in the last game, which is a good sign for me. 5,200 is a reasonable price for the amount of minutes and usage he sees on this team. He sees the highest usage behind Jordan Clarkson, who does come off the bench. But Colin Sexton is the guy that's having the ball in his hands more often than not. But both Garland and Sexton have a good assist rate on this team and decent usage in minutes, so I don't mind either one of them. Jordan Clarkson would be ranked 3rd in the guard department for me in this game because his price is somewhat higher than it. Like, it's at a point where it makes me think. When he was under 4K, he was a lock for me, but not at this point. I have to think about it. The matchup's going to be tough. His minutes should be secure. The usage is great, but it's just at 4,600. There's a lot of other guys that I could think of. Like Trey Burke is a great GPP play for me. Jordan Clarkson would be a safer cash play, but Trey Burke is a great GPP play for me, and he's $1,400 cheaper, $1,500 cheaper. So with that in consideration, and the fact that Darius Garland gets more minutes, has more opportunity here, I'd rather just play him at 300 price discount. But I mean, it's a 2-game slate. You have to consider Jordan Clarkson. I don't really consider him all that much, but some consideration should be given. And then these other guys, I'm not really going to cover everybody, but I have notes for you. Of course, if you want access to my spreadsheet, I should have mentioned that before. If you want access to my spreadsheet, DM me at Eyecee DFS. I just need an email address that I can share the link to. So send me an email address that you have, and I will share it with you. It's free. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Everything I do here is free, and I'm trying to do this full time, so the sooner I grow the faster I could go full time and provide more content for you guys at a better time schedule. But okay, let's continue. Second game, Boston versus Sacramento. This should also be a good game. Reasonable price guys here. Of course, Sacramento is missing a lot of their 2 big stars here. De'Aaron Fox, Marvin Bagley, and then Ariza and Dedmon are questionable, so that could change a lot of things here. On the Boston side, is more straightforward. Robert Williams, the only questionable guy. Gordon Hayward's injured. With that in mind, all 3, Tatum, Walker, and Brown, are in play for me. Jason Tatum, my gut says he has the best night. However, he's been playing mediocre the past few games. He's priced the cheapest out of the 3 guys here. But he's due for a good game anytime now. He hasn't been putting up numbers like Brown or Kemba for that matter. And honestly, you could play some of the 76ers guys that have more of a safer ceiling with higher upside at this point than Tatum. But in this matchup against the Kings, I think Tatum will find his feet and start making some more shots and be a little bit more aggressive. That's pretty much the only reason why he hasn't been performing on a consistent basis. He hasn't been as aggressive. So if he gets that aggressive, touch back, this is a matchup where he could definitely exploit and go off. Kemba Walker would be my favorite Celtic and probably one of my favorite plays on the slate based on his upside. After Embiid, he's pretty much the guy that I'm looking at for a big production, DK points wise. Look, he's going to be taking a bunch of shots like he always does, and 8,800 is a reasonable price for a guy taking 17 to 20 shots a game. If his shots are falling, he does get you other peripheral stats, and he can easily smash. And the Kings aren't really going to be a tough matchup with Corey Joseph and Yogi Ferrell. Corey Joseph is a decent defender, but I mean, Yogi Ferrell gets cooked. That's why he doesn't really start. But I'm going to talk about Yogi Ferrell later. But Kemba Walker definitely is the guy I'll be playing a lot in this slate. I'll be paying up for. And then Jaylen Brown, he's been playing decent. Not decent, he's playing really well, okay? Just the 7,500 price point is something that's hard for me to swallow, but, I have to have a short-term memory for these things and know that his usage is tremendously higher than it has been. Gordon Hayward's out of the picture. He's been in form. There was an interview a couple of days ago where he talked about he can finally show the world how much he's grown and all that stuff. And he has been. I mean, he's been playing really good the past few games. He's gotten 40 DraftKings points in 3 of the last 4, with them all being 43 and above. he can easily hit value here for sure and even exceed it. He has a decent ceiling, rarely approaches it, but with the amount of minutes he's getting, 35, 38 here, definitely should be in line for that. So in play for me, and honestly, probably the second guy I get to on the Celtics, but my gut says Tatum, but analytics and stats and everything say Brown. Marcus Smart, I'm not even going to talk about him because 6,200 is a little bit steep for the upside he has. But he's getting a lot of minutes. It's just the usage is not there with him. Sometimes he just spends a good portion of the game running around after the opposition's best guy and just locking him down, and doesn't really care about the offensive part. You shouldn't really when you have Tatum, Brown, and Walker there, but it is what it is. And then Cantor is the center I'm looking at as a GPP play. He could go off for limited minutes. It's just that the minutes are uncertain, and he is priced higher than Theis, who he could have the same floor. They could have the same floor, like go out there and get 22, 24 DraftKings points easily. So in that regard, I would probably go Theis. But Cantor is Theis is a decent cash play, but Cantor is more of a GPP play. And on the 2-game slate at 4,500 with the upside he has, he should definitely be in consideration. If Robert Williams is out, I'm definitely going to be looking at Cantor. And if Robert Williams is in, I'm still going to be looking at Cantor, just not that much. Alright, so the note I put here is the only reason I don't get to as much Celtics in my lineups is because of the pace the Kings play at. That's true, but it is a 2-game slate, so of course you can't be too picky here about pace and all that, but it's just something to point out that the Kings do play at a slow pace, but with De'Aaron Fox out, that should be subject to change. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. I just thought I'd mention that. A lot of the guys do have higher ceilings in this Boston games than per se the 76ers here. So that's the other thing. That's why I like them a lot. Their ceilings are a lot better, even if their floors are similar. Okay, on the Kings side, Buddy Hield is really the only guy I'm excited about playing. He's put in some, mediocre, subpar performances, and he's known for that from time to time. But at 7K, I mean, these aren't bad numbers. He's still hitting 5x value for the last few games. And with Fox out, his usage has gone up. The minutes are secure. They've always been secure, but they're more secure. And playing with the White Mamba might actually be more beneficial for Buddy Hield. The pace is a little bit higher than it is with Fox right now. And Buddy Hield is definitely someone that could get it done. Harrison Barnes, similarly to Buddy Hield, I mean, you're going to get a 5x type of game out of these guys for sure. I'm pretty confident that there's slight risk that you don't, but just they're missing so many guys. The amount of usage these two guys are gonna get, the amount of minutes they're gonna play, they could definitely hit their value if not exceed it pretty easily. So they're in consideration for me. I like them. And then the White Mamba, the only reason he's slightly in consideration because of the price. I'd rather just pay up for some other guys that I know are gonna be seeing a safer usage, minutes, production type of night. It's still a little uncertain with Bogdan here. We know he's a great ball handler. He's been really fun to watch the last few games, and with Fox out of the picture, he's done a great job. And even though the matchup is tough, he still can get it done with the peripheral stats and all that. It's just Boston's really going to try to get the ball out of his hands, knowing that he's mainly the only guy that can handle the ball right now. Corey Joseph is not all that great. I mean, he can handle the ball, but that's not really his strength. I mean, it is his strength as a point guard, but he's just not that good at it right now, and it just doesn't seem right when he's on the court. I like Yogi Ferrell a lot more than Corey Joseph, but again, Yogi Ferrell's defense is not that desirable. And Bogdan still is a decent shooter compared to the other two guys, so his upside is a lot higher. So he's in consideration for me. I like these three guys. And I also like Richaun Holmes. I like him a lot more with Dedmon out, but even if Dedmon plays, it doesn't really change much. Richaun Holmes will still be decent. This is a great spot for him. Boston has been one of the worst rebounding team, and Cantor does change that, but it still shouldn't really be all that difficult for Richaun Holmes. 5,400 is a great price for him, and on a 2-game slate, it's just a good spot. I mean, you've already seen what he can do throughout the season. He's had some really great games so far, and this is just another one. He's had some really great games against some really tough teams and tough matchups. So this is just another game, another matchup for him that he should relatively do well. I like Bielitsa's price more than that the other day. So B Jelly, 5,100. I like his price a lot. He's a risky play, but he has a lot of upside. So he's another guy you should consider. And then between Corey Joseph and Yogi Ferrell, I mean, I know Corey Joseph is due now. He's put up 2 mediocre games after people have been picking him, but 4,700 is too much. I'm not expecting 30 DraftKings points out of Corey Joseph on any night, even if he is getting minutes. So I'm not excited about Corey Joseph. I'd rather play Yogi Ferrell 3,800. But again, Trey Burke I like at 3,100, the discount. So personally, I'll go there, but Yogi Ferrell is also in consideration. He's been on the Kings for a couple of years now, and he's shown in the past when he's been given minutes that he could go out there and absolutely smash his price. So he's definitely in play. He has way more upside than Corey Joseph. It's just Corey Joseph starting, and his minutes are a little bit more secure. But Yogi Ferrell's also been seeing around. He played 28 minutes the other day, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he played 28 minutes the other day. So, I mean, if he's going to play 28 minutes at this price, I have no problem getting to Yogi Ferrell. Corey Joseph has just been super cold with his shots. So, I mean, there's that to consider. But Yogi Ferrell is also taking a decent amount of shots. If he takes double-digit shot attempts, he's a pretty good shooter. So, I could see him easily hitting value here, if not exceeding it. So, he's the guy I'm really looking at and I really like. But that's neither here nor there. That ends my early game take. If you guys have any questions, you can DM me on Twitter. I try to answer as many questions as I can. If you like this guy or that guy type of questions, DM me on Twitter or anything. If you want me to critique your lineup, I will do that. But that's for the 2-game slate. Let's get into the 4-game main slate that starts at 6 o'clock. So the first game of the night is the Washington Wizards against the Orlando Magic. And what we have here is a very, very fast-paced, horrible defensive team against a very slow-paced, excellent defensive team. Now, the excellent defensive team might be missing Jonathan Isaac, and the horrible team might be missing its big man in Thomas Bryant. So we have to keep an eye on the news. As of this moment, I just checked like 10 minutes ago. I didn't really see anything. But yeah, Thomas Bryant is probable. All right, okay, Larry Nance is out. So I didn't even talk about Larry Nance. So that just gives a bump to Tristan Thompson, in all honesty. I have it in my notes here. It gives a bump to Tristan Thompson, in all honesty. Maybe some Matthew Dellavedova love. Like I'm not really too sure. But Tristan Thompson would definitely get a minutes bump here, and I don't mind it. I already like Tristan Thompson. It just makes me like him more. But yeah, as for the Wizards, I don't really see anything here right now. So let's just forget about the injuries. We just have to keep an eye on the news for the injuries here with Brian and Isaac and a lot of these other guys. There's a lot of injury guys, especially on New Orleans. But look, this should be one of those games that a lot of people might stay away from, or maybe not, because, you know, everybody knows Washington is a bad defensive team. So a lot of the Orlando guys might be picked, but some of these Washington guys might get a little bit under-owned. Of course, without Jonathan Isaac, Orlando is not as great of a defensive team as they are with him. However, I'll just start with the Washington Wizards side. Bradley Beal is a guy I'd be looking at. The price has gone up at 9,600, and while he does have 60-70 DraftKings point upside, there's just a lot of value plays here today that I would rather get to and pay up for some other guys. Bradley Beal definitely is one of the guys with one of the highest ceilings on the slate. It's just this matchup is going to be tough for him, especially if Jonathan Isaac ends up playing. But Bradley Beal definitely has the upside and definitely can get it done. The other guy, Thomas Bryant, is the main guy that affects almost everybody on this team here. If Thomas Bryant plays, I don't mind him at the price point. He's played against some really tough centers already, and he's done decent. Drummond was the one that really gave him trouble, and Vucevic is an elite center in his own right. He could definitely give Thomas Bryant a hard time here, but Thomas Bryant has a lot of upside, a lot of value, and on a 4-game slate, you should consider it. But by no means is he one of like the, you know, top plays of the night, especially since he's questionable. His ownership is going to be low, so that could become an ownership play. But honestly, at 6,300, Thomas Bryant could smash his price even against Vucevic in Orlando here. His ownership is going to be low. I don't mind it. But if he's out, it gives a big bump to Rui Hachimura, David Bertans, and Mo Wagner, particularly Bertans and Wagner. Both should see a usage bump and minutes bump. A lot of people are going to be chasing Mo Wagner's performance the other day. He dropped 54 DraftKings points, smashed it, but he's priced at 5,200 now. It is risky. He's not going to have those type of games every single night. I'd rather play Davis Bertans in all honesty. He's been more flaky, But he also has similar upside, and he flashed it in the beginning of the season. In the last few games, he's hovering there. He's been on and off, but at this price point, I'd rather go to him than pay up for Mo Wagner. And honestly, I'd rather just stay away from these guys because there are a lot of other value plays that open up, and rather go there and roll the dice there than roll the dice here against these guys against a tough matchup in Orlando. But just some guys to consider on the Wizards, and Rui Hachimura 5100. He's also in play. He has a lot of upside, but again, it is a tough matchup. He does also have foul trouble history, so you get into foul trouble. But if there is no Jonathan Isaac, that should make his night a little bit easier. So in that regard, he'd be in consideration. But it all depends on if Thomas Bryant plays or not. The other two guys I'm on the fence with are CJ Miles and Jordan McRae. CJ Miles could be a sneaky GPP play at 3,100. He could easily get hot and get 10x, and he has the potential. He showed it in the last game. He went out in the first half. He had 14 DraftKings points and then did nothing in the second half. So it's risky for sure, but it could be a sneaky play. So that's why I mentioned him. And then Jordan McRae, same thing. He's playing around 18 minutes a game. He could be a sneaky play if he gets hot, but it's limited exposure, limited consideration for me. There are a lot of cheap value players like Kai Bowman on Golden State, who's minimum price, who you should just automatically be playing, than rather consider these risky guys here. Mainly just GPP plays and pivots, but not great pivots like by any stretch of the imagination. But I have to mention them. On the Orlando Magic side, I have a lot more favorable opinion of this team against the Wizards. They're going to be going up against a pace-up team to begin with, so that should open up more opportunity for them. The defense the Wizards play is terrible, so that should also open up opportunity for them on the offensive end. The Magic are favored here against the Wizards by, I think, 7 points it was. Vucevic would be the top play at 8,200. He's always in play. I always say that. Vucevic is always in play. He could go out there and have 40, 50 DraftKings points with his eyes closed, and 50 DraftKings points is what we're really looking for, so we would be happy with that. Definitely in play here. Centers have been having great games against the Wizards all season long, so I don't know why that would randomly stop now. But if Jonathan Isaac is in, I prefer Jonathan Isaac to anyone on the Magic side. At 5,900, he has tremendous upside at the price, and matchup is fantastic, and his ownership will be low because he's been questionable all day. So he will be in prime position to win you GPPs, and the guy will be really, really looking at. But as it stands, he's questionable. We don't really know. I put a ranking here. I like Isaac, then Vucevic, then Gordon, then Fournier. And that's mainly if Isaac plays. If Isaac's out, then obviously Vucevic and Aaron Gordon gets a huge bump with Isaac out, and Fournier also gets a decent bump with Isaac out. So those two would really come into play then. But until then, this is how it is. It's Isaac, Vuce, Gordon, Fournier for me. Aaron Gordon has overtaken Andrew Wiggins for the most flaky award in my fantasy world. It was Andrew Wiggins who was super flaky. We never knew what type of Andrew Wiggins we were going to get. But it's Aaron Gordon. And he's been somewhat decent the last few games. But this is the type of Aaron Gordon I'm talking about. He has some decent games and then he has some poor games. And you just never know what Aaron Gordon you're getting. This is a pace-up matchup which should really benefit him, especially if Isaac is out. So he'll really be in play if Isaac is out for me. However, again, he's prone to mediocre performances. He has high upside but a low floor. And there's other guys I'd rather get to with a safer floor and high upside as well at this price than Aaron Gordon. It all depends on Jonathan Isaac. Evan Fournier at 6K, this is what he should be priced at, and this is what makes him a tough decision here. He could go out there and have 40 DraftKings points, which would get 7x value. You'd be happy. But it is risky, and of course if Jonathan Isaac plays and the usage goes down, he is ball handling the ball a lot more on this team, so there is that to consider. He's playmaking. He has a high assist percentage, high assist rate on the team. So there is that to consider. The matchup is great. And he's not as shot dependent as some of the other guys. But if his shot's falling, then he could easily smash value. But again, there is some risk with him, especially if Jonathan Isaac plays. All of these other guys I'm not really going to talk about. If you're interested in them, DM me on Twitter and I'll share you the spreadsheet and then you can read the notes. But of course, Al-Farouq, I will just quickly touch upon. He's only in play if Jonathan Isaac is out. Everybody will be chasing Al-Farouq Aminu. Again, he had a really good game, but that's not a normal game for Al-Farouq Aminu. That's an outlier. He does have that upside, but it's rare. It's not a consistent thing to look for. And at 4,300, it's still a fair price. He could go out there and get it. The matchup is great, but there's other guys I'd rather go to, and I wouldn't mind going against the field here, especially with all the New Orleans and Golden State value guys. So the Denver Nuggets, I'm going to do this one on the fly because I didn't have time. I didn't want to delay the video all that much. But the Denver Nuggets guys, and don't worry, I'm going to put the notes in later here for the guys that are going to be using the spreadsheet. But on the Denver Nuggets, Jokic at 8,700 is the guy I'm really looking at. Memphis has been terrible against bigs all season long, and Jokic has been taking double-digit shots, around 20 shots a game in the last few games, and that's a good sign. When his shots start falling on a consistent basis, then he'll be, performing like he usually does, 50, 40, 50, 60 DraftKings points. At 8,700, it's a 4-game slate. Definitely Jokic is in consideration for me. He fills up the stat sheet. If he's going to be taking as many shots as he is, then that's good. And as long as he's going to be playing around 30 minutes, I don't mind taking a risk with him or a gander. So I don't mind Jokic. Of course, there's Vucevic in play that I like a little bit more than Jokic in his matchup against the Wizards. There's also Anthony Davis at 9,200, who's also risky in his own right, but also could have a monster game that I would like to consider. So there are other guys at the position that I could consider, but Jokic is definitely a guy I like. Will Barton has been playing really great, but 6,800 is a price where I just start to look elsewhere. Jamal Murray, he's one of the biggest ball hogs in the league, but against Memphis, he could definitely get it done. He hasn't had any super crazy performances aside from that one game against Philadelphia, but that's rare. He doesn't really have these type of games. He usually has 30, 40 DraftKings points game. If that, it's usually around 35 DraftKings points. So his average is 32.52. It is a decent matchup against the Grizzlies, but it's not something that makes me super excited. Gary Harris at 5K, I don't mind. It's a decent price for Gary Harris. He's someone that's reliable, but he doesn't really go out there and go crazy fantasy wise. He can get you a safe floor. He has a decent ceiling, but 30, 35 DraftKings points is the most I'll accept. I'll expect out of him. So I'm not all that excited about him either. But between these three guys, he'd probably be the guy I'd go to just based on his price and opportunity here against Memphis. There's not really that much of a tough defensive assignment. They're gonna assign him. I mean, John Morant is a tough defensive assignment, but there should be shared responsibility there. Honestly, I'm not really that excited about any other Denver guy here. A lot of these other guys, they just really come into play when there's injuries and stuff. It's mainly the 5 guys that play here, and Jeremy Grant might be a little bit more. Jeremy Grant might be seeing a little bit more minutes here, because Memphis does play at a fast pace, and if Millsap doesn't usually get his full extended run when the pace is all that fast. Jaren Jackson, Brandon Clark are pretty pacey, athletic. They could cause Millsap some problems, which takes him off the floor, and Jeremy Grant could see some extended runs, so there's that viewpoint. Jeremy Grant does have decent upside at the price. He could get you 30 DraftKings points, so he's someone to consider for sure. But of course, Millsap at 5,800, he could also go out there and get 40 DraftKings points. This isn't that crazy of a matchup. He's been pretty consistent the last few games, and he has his ups and downs. As you can see, this is Millsap. I call him Mill Trap for a reason. He usually traps me when I pick him. But this is a matchup where, he could be beneficial as well. He could get Brandon Triple J into foul trouble. If his shot's falling, he helps space the floor. And his minutes are decent. He could get it done. If he's going to play 30 minutes, I don't mind him at 5,800. But there are other guys I'd rather play. In all honesty, guys, I'm not excited about these guys. I will have more proper notes later, so check my spreadsheet. And then Memphis, John Morant, 6,500. Honestly, I'd be more excited to play him, but Denver is really great against guards. They're really good. There's only been a handful of guards that have done well against them. Trae Young was one, but they shut down Luka Doncic, and they're going to do their best to shut down John Morant early. So he's someone that, I've been playing a lot. I'm really excited about him. I love the future for this kid, but for tonight's slate, I'm not all that excited. Can he get you 40 DraftKings points? Sure, why not? But it is against a tough defensive opponent here. And he's had 2 good games now. His shot has been falling, but he's prone to having bad games. And 2 of the tougher defensive games he played against San Antonio and Orlando, he didn't do all that well. I mean, Utah's a good matchup too, but I mean, Conley's been getting cooked. He's too nice of a guy. But Ja Morant, I mean, a light consideration, especially from the Memphis side, but not all that excited. Jay Crowder, this is the type of matchup Jay Crowder thrives in. 5,300. He's had some really bad games recently. His ownership should be reduced. People won't be all that excited, but he has this upside 40, 32 DraftKings points at 5K. What more do you want? This is a matchup where they're going to need his aggression, his aggressiveness, his leadership. So this is the type of game for Jay Crowder. I don't mind targeting him. Dylan Brooks is very shooting dependent. I mean, he takes double-digit shot attempts every single game. He's not shy to take shots, so if his shot's falling, he's definitely someone that could hit value as well on this Memphis team. But again, Denver is really good against guards, so I'm not all that excited. Triple J, if he stays out of foul trouble, we know all the potential this kid possesses. It's really the foul troubles that hold him back. He's another guy that could exceed value at his price point. But again, it is a tough matchup, so light consideration for me. And then Mr. Jonas Valanciunas, Mr. Mess Around and Win You a GPP. I mean, I'm not excited about him, but this is exactly the type of matchup where he could mess around and win you a GPP. His ownership is not going to be all that high with some of the other center plays on the board. 6,400 is a reasonable price for him, and he hasn't had one of those games yet, so it's coming. He's due, and this could be very well the night where he does go out and get you 44 DraftKings points or 50 DraftKings points. I wouldn't be surprised. He finally played 30 minutes the other day, and the minutes have been creeping up. He does have the foul trouble history going back to Toronto, but I mean, I wouldn't be all that worried. If he's going to play 30 minutes, I wouldn't mind Valanciunas, so he's the other guy I'll be looking at. And then Brandon Clark at 4,600, man. If either one of these two guys get into foul trouble, he automatically comes into play. Forwards do tend to have better nights against Denver than the guards, so he's definitely going to be used if they get into foul trouble, but I wouldn't mind these three guys either. So I'll be looking at them, but Jonas Valanciunas definitely could mess around and win you a GPP today, and Brandon Clark's price is too good to overlook. But again, he's very dependent on these guys getting the foul trouble. Otherwise, he won't be getting the minutes. Actually, now that I think about it, with Valanciunas playing 30 minutes, that definitely affects Brandon Clark directly. And if we're going to be targeting Valanciunas, then you can't really be targeting Clark. They kind of work against each other at this time and point. And then Marko Guduric, honorable mention. This guy is also going to be a key component to the Grizzlies team in the future. He has upside, but the minutes aren't safe yet. They're not secure. He had a terrible game against Utah. He missed all 6 of his shots. He got hooked early. 2 fouls as well. So it was more of a detriment to the team last game than anything. But he's someone that could also be in place. So 3,400 is a fair price. A GPP play if you feel risky, if you want to roll the dice, definitely go for it. Then what else we got here? The next game, Golden State versus New Orleans. So this is probably the game everybody in the world is going to be targeting. There's a lot of value to be had here. They really messed up by not pricing Kai Bowman up with D'Angelo Russell being out, and some of these guys are still priced down. Like D'Angelo Russell is still in the game. So there's a lot of value to be had here. My notes aren't complete here. Damian Lee is injured. Steph Curry is injured. I'll do this later. I'm going to complete the notes here too. So if you want the notes, DM me on Twitter with an email and I'll share it with you. And if you guys haven't, hit that like button, please. I'd really appreciate it. It's the only thing that could help me grow, the likes and the subscriptions. I'm trying to do this full time. So if you haven't yet and anything I'm doing here you like, then please support. Hit that like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, let's just start on the Golden State side. All right. D'Angelo Russell is out. And basically, a lot of guys here on the New Orleans Pelicans side are questionable, so we have to keep an eye on the news again. I'm going to quickly refresh here just to make sure nothing popped up. But just looking ahead, Kai Bowman, 3K. He burned everybody the other day when they chased him. He was like 80% owned, and he got into foul trouble, and he barely played. And a lot of people might have that in their head, and they might not play him, but we have short-term memory in DFS, and at 3K, it's impossible to overlook him against a really fast-paced, horrible defensive team in the New Orleans Pelicans. It's a 4-game slate. This guy is 3K. He allows you to fit in a whole bunch of people. He opens up the whole floor for us. So Kai Bowman is going to be in a lot of lineups, and he should definitely be heavily considered if you're playing tonight. he has upside. He's a very aggressive player. He does have foul trouble problems as well. Like, as you can see in 14, 13, 16 minutes, he's getting one foul at least in that time. And it's mainly due to his aggression. He's an aggressive player. He's an in-your-face type of guy. He's confident. He's not scared. If he's given the opportunity, he's going to go out there and try and kill. And he has this 34, 30, 40 DraftKings point upside in all honesty. With Draymond on the field, that should also help as well. So I don't mind him whatsoever. He should definitely be a pretty safe play in my books. 24 DraftKings points is not outside of the realm of possibility, with 30, 35 also being reasonable expectations for him. With the amount of minutes and usage he's going to be seeing, definitely someone to look at. But Alex Burke is the other guy I really like on the Warriors, and people are really going to sleep on this guy. But he's priced down now. He was priced a little bit higher a couple of games ago because he also has really good upside. He's scored 20 points in 3 of the last 7 games here. He's also taking a good amount of shot attempts. He's very efficient. He had one bad game against the Lakers, but the Lakers are a good defensive team. Everybody has a bad game against the Lakers, it looks like, at least offensively. But Alex Burke is definitely someone that could be explosive. He was supposed to have a really good role on the team, and as you see, that one game against Houston in a fast-paced matchup where he saw 31 minutes, he got a 47 DraftKings point night, 28 real points. Definitely someone that could go out there and get it done against a depleted New Orleans Pelican team, and someone that's going to be seeing slightly less ownership than he should at 4.9K. He's definitely someone that should be considered and definitely should be in your player pool for tonight, and he's definitely in mine. I love Alec Burks. I don't know what else to say. He's underpriced with D'Lo out, and he should see a usage bump and a lot easier of a matchup than some of these other games he's had. Okay, Draymond Green, 6,200. He's reasonably priced too. It's a 4-game slate. You have to consider Draymond Green. If it was any other team, I'd kind of shy away, but it is the Pelicans with all their injuries. This should be a decent game for Draymond to get things going. He finally had a good game, and it was against the Celtics of all teams, one of a better defensive, tougher matchup. So things are looking good for Draymond in my book. I have him in my year-long fantasy. I'm very hopeful that he gets his usage rate up ASAP. He's still assisting at a good rate. He's a top rebounder on this team. He's an elite player. We know Draymond Green. He just hasn't been playing up to his standard. He's been way below expectations, so I expect a lot more from him. And last game was a good sign. I expect him to build up on it. So Draymond Green also is in consideration. Fantastic matchup for him. And with D'Angelo Russell out, he's going to be taking more shots too. So I don't mind him either. Definitely, you guys shouldn't either. But 6 shot attempts, like, come on, man. Like, 34 minutes, like, come on. More shots, more shots, more shots. With D'Lo out, D'Lo was taking, like, what, 20 shots? 25 shots? He got injured, but he was taking, like, 25, 19 shots. Lakers really restricted him. But, yeah, there should be a lot more shots for Draymond Green here, hopefully. At least 5 more shots. I'd like that. Get to double digits, bro. But, he's very productive. Triple double upside. Great. Again, the matchup is great here. There's, it all really depends on the injuries. But as it stands, this should be like a killer spot for Draymond against Jackson Hayes. We could get into foul trouble so easily. And Kenrich Williams, like, come on. I love Draymond Green today. I don't know. I love him. 6,200 is a great price for him. Sure, there's other guys that you should get to. He's not like a lock for me by any stretch of the imagination. He does come with his own risk. He does have his own foul trouble issues, but he's in consideration for me. And then Eric Paschal, 5K. Finally should see more shot volume, more usage on the team with D'Lo missing. We should be seeing some more of these 34 type of games. 55 was an outlier. It was a really good game for him. But that's he does have that ceiling, we know that, but I don't expect that type of game. 40 would be where I cut it off, but definitely has that upside today against New Orleans. Great matchup. Glenn Robinson too should see a usage and minutes bump as well. He was a starter for this team, even with all the injuries. He's supposed to be a starter for this team, and 4,500 is a great price for him. He hasn't been playing well himself, but he has that upside. He has a decent ceiling, so he could go out there and get it done as well. You wouldn't mind him getting 36 at 4,500, so definitely someone to look at. And then Jordan Poole, I say this every single time, he has yet to have a good shooting night. He still puts up decent numbers regardless, but if his shot starts to fall, he'll kill it. 4,100 is a really good price for this kid. His shot just needs to fall. He's confident. He takes a good amount of shots. He does not scared to shoot the ball. 8, 15, 11 attempts. Like, he's shooting the ball. It's just not falling. So, on the fence with him. I'll have decent notes from him in a bit. And then Willie Cauley-Stein. I mean, you could look at Willie Cauley-Stein here too. You could also be seeing a good amount of run here. 25, 26 minutes. He could easily smash his value or his price at in limited minutes. So another guy to look at here, 4,900, and a fantastic matchups against the Pelicans. Fast pace, bad defense. Definitely someone to consider. I like him. But then that's pretty much it stops there. On the Pelicans side, man, how do I even start here? There's so many injuries. So many things depend on so many things. Okay, Dedmon's gonna play. Trevor Ariza still a game time decision. Alright, that doesn't really matter to me. I said if Dedmon played, it doesn't really matter to Rashawn Holmes, so I still like Rashawn Holmes. But okay, Pelicans. Let's start with the Pelicans. Let's just start with the big mans for the Pelicans. If Okafor and Favors are out, then Jackson Hayes is the only guy they really have, and Melly. But Jackson Hayes just has way more upside. Of course, Nikolai Melly showcased his talents in the EuroLeague or the FIBA Cup or whatever it was, and which is why he's on the Pelicans. He had a decent preseason, but since then he's been subpar. He also could go out there and have a decent night. Both of these guys would be in the same boat for me, but honestly, I would prefer Jackson Hayes over Nikolai Melly. But then we go to the guards, and there's just so many injuries, so I just ended up ranking these guys just to make it easier. As it stands, I like Drew, Lonzo, Redick, Hart, Jackson, and then Nickeil Alexander-Walker in that order. That's the order I go for now. Nickeil Alexander-Walker has a much higher ceiling than Frank Jackson. It's just Frank Jackson is more trusted, and he's been a part of this team for a couple of seasons now, I believe. And, his defense is decent too, so he's going to be getting the opportunity ahead of Nickeil Alexander-Walker for now, if he's playing. And then J.J. Redick is just very shot dependent, but I feel like J.J. Redick could go out there and have a better game than Josh Hart if he plays. And then Lonzo Ball would be in a fantastic spot himself against Golden State. He would be able to, utilize his abilities to their full potential in a fast-paced matchup where both teams have no defense. Golden State is the worst defensive team in the league, so, that should help Lonzo if he plays. And then Drew Holiday, 8,400. How much Drew I play really depends on all of these guys playing. Of course, there's Brandon Ingram to consider as well. If Brandon Ingram plays, I don't really like Drew Holiday all that much at 8,400. His usage should definitely not be that high with Brandon Ingram on the court and some of these other guys on the court. But, if all these guys are out, then Drew Holiday, the sky is the limit. The usage is there. He's going to do it. But last game, even with all these injuries, he only shot the ball 14 times. So that's a little concerning to me. I don't know why he only shot the ball 40 times, but we know in the past, that's why I consider him a beta player and not an alpha player, because when, he does get the opportunity, he's not a dog. He doesn't, take opportunity by the throat. He's, he's a gentleman about it. He's a beta. Nothing wrong with being a beta, but, he's not that type of guy that'll go out there and just kill the opposition. He'll play his game like he does. In the playoffs is a different story. That's when you see the real Drew Holiday. But for these type of games, it's rarely ever there. He has the upside, but last game he definitely didn't show it. So it's a little bit risky. Brandon Ingram, if he plays, I love him at 7,400. It should be a great opportunity for Brandon Ingram to smash. He's been playing really well, and whatever his injury is, that knee injury, I don't think it's all that serious. So he's probably one of the more probable players today to play in my book. So definitely look for that. If he plays, he's definitely the guy I like. 7,400, he should easily be able to hit value, if not exceed it. It's a fantastic matchup for him. Definitely the guy I'll be going to on the Pelicans. But again, there's a lot of injuries here. And so far, this is my ranking. Drew, Lonzo, Redick, Hart, Frank Jackson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. As the guys are out, you can just, erase their names, and then it's, it'll be smaller. But of course, if Ingram plays, that changes my perspective on Drew at this price. The usage should be lower, so it'll be riskier for him to hit value at that price. Alright, last game, Atlanta Hawks versus Lakers. And honestly, this is a tough one. The Hawks just got obliterated last night. It was borderline. It should have been a crime scene. They lost by 50 points. It was a blowout of blowouts. It was terrible. Kawhi wasn't even playing to make matters worse. I'll start with the Hawks. Trae Young, 9,400. We know what he could do. He could absolutely smash his price any given night. It's just this is a tough matchup, and yeah, he had a really good game against Denver, but it really depends on his shot. And at 9,400, I'm not all that excited. I'd rather just play 80 at 200 less and take a risk there than play for Trae Young. There's also a lot of good cheap value plays here at the guard position that I could get to than get to Trae Young. So I'm on the fence here. Of course, it would be a very contrarian play to go with Trae Young today. He won't be a very popular pick in my opinion. There'll be a lot of other guys that get the look over Trae. And he's 3 from 13 from 3 in the last 2 games. This is not typical Trae Young. But again, that's what teams are going to do to Trae. They're going to make it tough for him to get those 3-point shots off. And when he does get those shots off, they're going to be very tough shots and low percentage shots. And this is why this is 3 and 13. That's the type of stuff that's going to happen. And if he's not consistent, his shot's not falling consistently, then him hitting value consistently is in jeopardy. And at 9,400, he does have the ceiling. He can go out there and get you 60 DraftKings points. You'll be happy, but the matchup is very tough. And personally, I'm not all that excited about it. DeAndre Hunter, I've been talking about him a couple of days now. I really like what I've been seeing from him, especially with Herder out. He's been taking more shot attempts. He's been more aggressive, and it's just a matter of time now where he just breaks out of his mold and gets into a real groove here. His upside has been rising. His usage has been rising. And he's someone that's in consideration for me slightly, even with all the value out there. He's going to be less owned. And I just like his matchup, even if it is against the Lakers. He should have decent opportunity here to produce, and he's one of my more favorable players. But I like Cam Reddish as well, 3,500. I don't mind getting to him, especially with Herder out. He saw 32 minutes, and I like his usage and price more than I like Bembry's per se. So I don't mind getting the Cam Reddish. Even compared to Hunter, I'd rather get the Cam Reddish than Hunter at a $700 discount. But I like Hunter as well. But they're both slight consideration. There's a lot of value on this slate that we could get to. Jabari Parker, he's done really well since taking over from Collins. But the price, it's a decent price, but the matchup is not. And the ownership will be lower on him, which is why if I do consider him, it'll be more of an ownership play than anything. But it is a tough matchup. The Lakers play at a really slow pace. They're one of the best defensive team. They've held the opposition to very low points. So, I mean, it is a bounce back spot for the Hawks because they're going to be super motivated after the beating they took. And they're going to want to come in and get things rolling. And they're going to be ready from last night, I guess, hot. Whereas the Lakers didn't play. So, but at the same time, it is a back-to-back for the Hawks. They had a late game yesterday. They have a flight back home. So maybe they pack it up early and, just give up here. I don't know, but I'm not excited about the Hawks in general. There's just a very tough matchup against the Lakers, and some of their prices aren't that enticing at all either. So I'm not all that interested. What the hell is going on with Alan Crabb's price? Why is my man Alan Crabbs 5,600? So Mr. Krabs is the other guy I'm on the fence with. He's back. He could be in play. He's playing 15 minutes a game. If his minutes are going to get expanded, if there's any injuries, if anybody's out, if we get that news, then he's someone I'd look to. He's someone that's going to be a trade asset for this team sooner or later. I would assume so. I don't really think he fits into their long-term plans, but he's someone that's a very good player. He's a starter type of player, and he's someone that could, be fighting for a bigger role sooner than later. Of course, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish are the rookie picks that are going to get a bulk load of the minutes, but Alan Crabb could definitely be someone that they use as a trade piece down the line, and they'd want to get him integrated and rolling, and other teams to see that, so it raises value up. So there's that viewpoint, but I'm only going to really consider Alan Crabb if someone's injured and his minutes are going to be up, but just keep an eye on him for the future. And then the Lakers, Anthony Davis is always questionable, probable. He always has a red letter next to his name. That's just something you expect with him. I think he plays today. I don't think he doesn't. And I think if he plays today, he's going to be the best Laker play at 9,200. He's due for a good game. He's had some really bad games now. Not like, last game was bad. The other ones were all right. But we need a real big Anthony Davis game, like a 60, 70 point Anthony Davis game, and so far this season he's only hit that once. This is a 4-game slate, so 55 DraftKings points is still a big deal, but there are a lot of guys here that could get you close to that range here, that are priced a little bit not better, I would say, but I mean, who are a little bit safer in that regard. But Anthony Davis 9,200 against the Hawks. Who's really gonna stop Anthony Davis against the Hawks? Like, if he's playing, Anthony Davis is 100% one of my top guys. I love Anthony Davis at 9,200 more than LeBron, who should also be in line for a good game against the Hawks. But again, the Hawks just got destroyed the other night. I don't know where their confidence level is at. I don't know how they're feeling. They were in Los Angeles. They're a young team. The LA nightlife, that could have an effect, and they could just come out here and get blown out again. The Lakers are one of the toughest defensive teams. So unless the Hawks get it going early, I don't think this game really stays competitive for, up until the third quarter. That's the concern I have. I don't like predicting blowouts, but that's a legit concern I have. LA nightlife, they just played the game yesterday. They got blown out. So what's their mindset? Maybe read the coach's pregame or watch the coach's pregame take. See where some of these players are. See some of the players' responses if they commented on Twitter or anything. I didn't get the time to do that yet, so I will update my spreadsheet accordingly. But as it stands, AD I like over LeBron, but I like both of them. They're both in consideration. Danny Green, not really. Kyle Kuzma at this price, not really. Only if AD is out. KCP, slight consideration. He's risky. He has upside. I don't mind him. Alex Caruso has been getting 26 to 29 minutes per game. He's a decent play at this price in this matchup. Guards against Atlanta is something we target, and he could definitely hit value if he's given a similar run. Rondo should be back and playing limited minutes. He's safer than KCP, but I have the same mindset that I do for KCP. There's a lot of other value on this slate that I'd rather get to with way more upside. But I mean, Rondo has his own upside, but the minutes are just limited, so it's hard for him to get there. And then JaVale McGee, if AD is out, only reason why I play him at an elevated 5,500 price point. I'd rather play Dwight Howard. And again, Dwight Howard on defense. This could be a revenge game. It's been a long time, but who knows? Dwight is that type of guy. Could go out there and just want to really stick it to them. But it's a decent price point, 4,800. But which Dwight do we get? How many minutes does he play? I am not sure. I do not know. If I do, I will update the spreadsheet. Of course, this is the second column of the spreadsheet that I have, and this is the one that I update closer to lock. I'm going to be doing that now for the early game slate. But this is the end of the video, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you're here, if you haven't yet, please hit that like and subscribe. It's the only thing that helps me grow, and I would really appreciate it. Try to do this full time, providing free content. And if you guys want access to the spreadsheet, DM me on Twitter. I just need an email address that I could share the link with, and you can view this every single day. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you everybody for the support. All you guys that comment and message me, like, retweet my stuff. Thank you very much. Oh, we have a comment. I'm sorry, I'm not used to this stuff. Short term, yeah, man. Draymond does act like he doesn't care right now, because I mean, I would too. It's like you're playing with a bunch of young guys up and coming. So I'm sorry I didn't get to the comment earlier, but yeah, you're right about that. He does seem like he doesn't care. But if last game against the Boston Celtics was anything to go by, I like what I saw, and if he wants to build on that performance, he's gonna have that opportunity today. But yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully your NFL lineups are doing good. If not, and that's the reason why you're here, I am sorry. Hopefully your NBA lineups do good. Message me on Twitter if you guys have any questions, or leave a comment down below. Thank you very much, guys. Take care. Have a good rest of your night. Bye-bye.